Oh, Lord, just help us through all this oatmeal, and we promise we'll never ask for anything else again. Amen.
James Jr., that is blasphemous.
He's no good, Mom. I told him keep
All right, Thelma, I'll take care of him.
Will you open the door, please? Will you open the door, please? It's cold out here.
I'm coming. Quiet, kids.
Wait. Is that the fastest you can open the door, woman? I'm frozen up.
If you wanted somebody fast, you should have married O.J. Simpson.
Good morning, kids.
Sit down, James, and get some hot oatmeal into your stomach. And in between, you could tell me what we're going to do about this little piece of mail that James Jr. got from the mailbox this morning.
What is it, another eviction notice?
Well, it ain't no Valentine card.
Oh, baby, we got 2 of those while you was in the hospital. But my friend Monty, who works down at the projects, he said, don't worry about it. Because they know I'm a hard-working man. They'll extend me.
Yeah, they'll extend you right out into the street. Your friend Monty don't know shellac from Shinola.
Now, Florida, you want to worry your head about nothing, go on and do it. But we got $32 in the shoebox, and I got another $6 right here in my pocket.
You worked all night, and all they paid you was $6?
They paid me a lot more. But after they got finished taking out the federal withholding, the state withholding, the unemployment compensation, the state disability insurance, and then this extra goodie they slipped on me at the last minute, a $2 charge for getting my dishwashing uniform clean. You know something, baby, if I'd worked for them a few more hours, I'd end up owing them $10. Well, anyhow, all we need now is $70.
My name's Jimmy. Revolution Radio. Seriously, we got to go back to a time when everything was way slower in America. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there's something wrong in America.
Broken lines and broken strings, broken threads and broken springs, broken arrows and broken heads, people sleeping in broken beds. Ain't no news of jiving, ain't no news of joking. Everything is broken. Broken bottles and broken plates, broken switches and broken gates, broken ditches, broken paths, streets of fear with broken hearts, broken words never meant to be spoken. Everything is broken.
It's all right. I'm going to lend you my car. I want you to make a good impression. You borrow my car, and then you give her the test.
What, the Mario test?
Mario? Mario's a fucking psycho. What do you listen to this kid for? You give her my test. You give her the door test.
What's the door test?
All right, listen to me. You pull her right where she is, right? Before you get out of the car, you lock both doors. Then you get out of the car, you walk over to her. You bring her over to the car. You take out the key, put in the lock, open the door for her. Then you let her get in. Then you close the door for her. Then you walk around the back of the car and you look through the rear window. If she doesn't reach over, lift up that button for you so you can get in, dump her.
Just like that?
Listen to me, kid. If she doesn't reach over, lift up that button for you so you can get in. That means she's a selfish broad, and all you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. You dump her fast.
Yeah, what about all the beautiful things you just told me, though? Do what my heart tells me to do. It's all that matters. Find someone to pull into myself. I mean, hey, this could be one of the great ones.
Bullshit, kid. The door test, that's what counts. You dump her fast.
Dump her?
Dump her.
Words never meant to be spoken. Everything is broken.
Man, everything is broken. I'll tell you that. I mean, I was out there today I had to go. It's the 4th day of October 2019. We made it past the non-event in Seattle. The rattle from Seattle never became a battle, but who knows? I mean, the month is still young. What up, B5? Good to see you, Mr. Rowe, ALB. Yeah, so I was out in it today, and I was just sitting there because I had to take my mom over to an appointment at a medical facility, and so I was waiting outside, while she was doing her thing in there, and I was just kind of watching all the people going in and out and in and out, and I was looking at this hospital, and I was seeing how much construction has been going on, and how much activity there is there, and cars are going and coming, and everybody's rolling around and moving, and people are taking breaks and lunches, and doctors are rolling in and out, and I'm thinking to myself, this doesn't look like a business where people are continually getting better. I mean, it seems like we're building more and more and more hospitals. It seems like the healthier the population would be, the less and less we'd need hospitals. You know what I mean? So it seems like, to me, from what just from a layman's perspective, sitting there on the bench out in front of the clinic there, watching people going in and out, and a lot of what I was seeing, sadly to say, was a lot of people struggling with some conditions of overweight conditions. And I saw a lot of majority of the people that I saw going in and out. I would say the majority of them were overweight for the capacity of their bone frame. And most of the people that I saw working in the hospital seemed to have a thinner composite from a majority. I'm not saying it was overall that way. I'm just saying it's just what I noticed. And then I started to really, I started to kind of think about it. I started thinking about the diet that we have, here in America, and I started thinking about the fact that, we have to pay for the most part for our health care, so we have some sort of a deductible or whatever we have to do. We have to come up with something on it, and whatever transpires behind that really is not really relevant. But the point is that it's a for-profit situation. So whose pocket it eventually comes out of is everybody's pocket who's paying into it. That's where the money, ultimately comes from. So, but for the most part, you don't use any of it until you get sick. And then there's this period of time where it just gets any benefit or any dollars and cents seem to get drained away. As your quality of life seems to disintegrate. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at everything and I'm thinking to myself, what is it exactly that anybody can even do about any of this? Because it's clear when you see the sea of humanity, and this is not, I'm not saying anything negative about it. What I'm saying is they used to come from miles around to the circus because, there were, to see people that were quote unquote obese, because there were no fat people back then, basically. And so it's gotten to the point now where it seems like because of the diet that we all eat, there's nothing we can do about it. We're all overweight simply because we're eating empty calories with no nutrition, and we're just sitting there and we can never get full. We can never have a sense of feeling like we've got something in our stomachs. We have to keep, searching for these excitotoxins that we've developed these addictions to. And I realistically, if you're a working person and you can't afford to shop, at the quote unquote organic food counter, if you're having to shop in the stores, just around, the big giant box stores that have stuff, You know, most of that stuff's genetically modified. I mean, we're all just one giant ball of confusion at this point. Our bodies starved, our minds are starved, our souls are starved. I mean, and the thing is we're all here in a sea of abundance, yet we're all starving. And that's because we haven't realized that the way to do it is to feed each other good food. Because we got to do something about what's going on. You know, I mean, it's kind of gotten a bit out of control. I mean, there's a good 20-year period there where people thought somebody was watching stuff because they didn't know all the, that they didn't know Federal Express didn't mean that it wasn't the part of the government. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know the Federal Reserve was a private bank. Nobody knew any of that stuff, and everybody trusted the fact that these organizations or these put-togethers from the government that were supposed to be out there watching us, the FDA, the FCC, all these things were supposed to be watching out for us. But the reality of the situation is they were not watching out for us, and because we trusted the fact that they were watching, we thought they were. All this stuff has gotten out of control now to the point where who's exactly is it? Is there somebody that's sitting over all of these products that hit the shelf for human consumption that have this concoction and cacophony and a cornucopia of ingredients in there that have nothing to do with anything that has anything remotely real? It's all fabricated. It's all artificial. Artificial this, artificial that. I mean, how much is it? How much of it is MSG under a million different names? I mean, how do we even know what we're eating anymore? There's really, at this point, there's nothing. I mean, what can you do? Seriously, what can you do? I don't know. But it seems like in other countries where they have a quote-unquote social medicine program, those countries don't seem to have any GMOs in their food. And that's because the government's the ones that are going to have to ultimately pay for you if you're sick. So there's something wrong there. There's something wrong big time. Not only have we been sold a bill of goods, but we actually still are trying to live in the shadow of what America used to be, or what our idea of America was, or what the idea that was put across the television sets every night, the social engineering of the day, whatever that is. Seems like the social engineering of the day today is do what you have to win the $1 million on Survivor. And if that means lie, steal, and cheat, then you go ahead and do that, or whatever. Doesn't matter about everybody else. Don't forget about everybody else. Leave them in the weeds. You just worry about yourself. And I mean, honestly, that's the problem. I mean, there was this metaphorical story about all these people sitting at this table, and it was the most sumptuous meal that could ever be eaten in the history of mankind, and everybody was sitting there. But the big problem at the table was that the utensils were too big to eat with. So everyone was sitting in front of all this food, but nobody could eat until somebody realized that these utensils reach across the table. So they started to feed each other from across the table. And that's when they realized that coming together is the best way to go, the best way to be. The more you can only keep what you have by giving it away, that type of thing. Service is a big part of life. Service is everything. My name's Jimmy, and I'm doing my service right now here at Revolution Radio. You're knee deep in the revolution, and you can join us at freedomslips.com and make a donation. We are fully supported from listeners such as yourself. and we appreciate everything that you do. So it fires us up and gets us excited about showing up here and volunteering our time and doing what we can to try to make this world a better place, whether that's by dropping some information you might not have been aware of. Maybe that's, putting forward an idea. Maybe it's a domino effect. We don't know. But whatever it is, the Nighthawk built the house. He built it out of brick. The rent man's sniffing around. And we need to keep him satisfied. So please feel free to donate right over at freedomslips.com. You can also join us in the chat, interactive chat room over there. And I'll be shouting you guys out in a bit. But I want to stay on this service tip right now. Here we're going to, we're kind of in a, I'm sort of in a mode where I'm thinking of a simpler time, and this dude comes from a simpler time, and this is a dude by the name of Earl Nightingale. Here he comes.
As your work, and as a result, your life. None of us would want to work for a company or invest our money in a company that didn't have a very viable research and development department. That is, pumping a good percentage of its profits back into research and development because its future depends on it. But so does a man's. And you might ask yourself, how much of your own take-home pay have you spent during the past year for materials calculated to make you smarter this year than you were a year before? Calculated to make you a little better, a little bigger as a human being, to perhaps love a little more and hate a little less and do a little better job than you did a year ago. How much money are you pumping back into yourself and your future? It's worth thinking about. Our rewards in life will always match our service. It's another way of saying, as ye sow, so shall ye reap. And it's been written in many ways, in every language on earth. I like to think of this law in the form of a giant apothecary scale. One of the bowls is marked service, and the other is marked rewards. Now, whatever we put into the bowl marked service, the world will match in the bowl marked rewards. If any person alive is discontented with his rewards, he should examine his service. Action, reaction. As ye sow, so shall ye reap. What you put in will determine what you must get back in return. So simple, so basic, so true, and yet so misunderstood. If a business is not expanding to the quick and exciting tempo of the times, it must examine its contribution, its service. If a person is unhappy with his income, he must examine and reevaluate his service. Never before in the history of the world have human beings been so interdependent. It's as impossible to live without serving others as it would be to live if others were not constantly serving us. In thinking of ways of increasing your service, read books on your specialty. Read what others have found to work well for them. But at the same time, think of original and creative ways of increasing your service, ways that are unique with you and the way you are. Each morning and during the day, ask yourself this question: how can I increase my service today? Knowing that my rewards in life must be in exact proportion to my service. Now do this every day and you will have started to form one of life's most valuable habits. Horace Mann wrote, "If any man seeks for greatness, let him forget greatness and ask for truth, and he'll find both." You see, cut away all the confusion and complications and nagging worries and vague, half-formed fears by returning to the great truth, the great laws, the great verities on which all success, all accomplishment, the whole world is built. If you're worried about your income or your future, you're concentrating on the wrong end of the scale. Look at the other end. Concern yourself only with increasing your service, with becoming great where you are, and your income and your future will take care of themselves. The great steel magnate Andrew Carnegie, when asked the formula for success, answered, "Put all your eggs in one basket, then watch the basket." Let's be frankly realistic. Who gets laid off work during an economic slump? Well, what gets thrown over the side when a ship is in danger of going down? Everything not absolutely vital to the operation of the craft and the safety of its passengers. And it's the same with a business or any other organization. With a corporation, its main purpose is to remain in business forever. As long as it remains in business, it can provide a needed product or service, protect the investment of those who have faith in it, and provide jobs for those who are vital to its continuity of operation. It's the duty of management to protect the firm and the people who depend upon it, just as it's the captain's duty to do everything in his power to keep his ship sailing. All a person needs to do is to make certain that he or she is a vital part of his business or organization. Those who insist on remaining spare gear must expect to be jettisoned when things get too rough for safety. Nobody, particularly the captain, likes to see cargo thrown over the side, but if it'll help save the ship, there's simply nothing else to do.
My name's Jimmy. That's David Lee Roth. Damn good. That is damn good too. I think that's Steve Vai. Yeah, times were simpler back then. Even in the 80s, it seemed the 80s to now seems almost like like kiddie school or something compared to the way things are now. Mine's Jimmy. Revolution Radio. It's Monday. Into the microcosm. Flying solo. The epic journeyman is floating deep on Speculation Island somewhere in the Pacific. Hopefully everything's still good. I saw there was a 242 character EAM message earlier, so who knows? Maybe we're not even here anymore. I've heard tell we left in 2012, but I don't know. My rent's still due, and so's the rent down here at the giant worldwide tower known as Revolution Radio. So, cruise on over to freedomslips.com. There's a bunch of different cool ways you can be a part of what's going on. Aside from just helping us out, and if you want to just become a member, you can do that. But there's other levels of like donation where you can throw down a certain amount, and then you'll get some cool prizes in return. You just choose your level. It's kind of like public radio in a way. It's a super cool vibe over here. It's a lot of really great minds, great conversations going 24/7 on two great Studio A and Studio B. So party on over to freedomslips.com. Put on your beads and throw a buck or two in the guitar case. If you like what we're doing over here, my name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. We're talking about days gone by. There's certain things that, we can do to, like I said, be successful. One of those things is service. There's a lot of ways you can be involved in service. And I know that when I've been involved in service, I noticed that my life, when you get involved in service, one of the cool things about it is no matter how bad you think your situation might be, there's somebody with a situation that's 10 times worse than yours. And there's something about what you got in that moment that can help that person over a hump. See? But in that moment, helping the person isn't really even the thing, because it's what you learn about yourself in those moments and what you see about. So many people take things for granted. They're going to be a certain way, and that's how they're going to be from now on, and no. But you know what? When the situation changes and the moment of truth comes, and something big happens, and you gotta adjust. That's what separates. That's where whatever you've learned in your life up until that moment comes into play. You got to make a decision. a lot of times based on where we are in life, we make a decision, and, you know, in retrospect or down the road, when we look at these decisions that we made at crucial times or crucial moments in our lives, we realize, you know, we might not have made the right decision, and it took us a long time to have to come back from those decisions. You know, we got off track, we got off the beaten path, you know, we got off our mark, you know, somebody got us off on tilt, you know. But I mean, you never know. One of those decisions might have been the right one. Could be the right one, could be the $1 million decision. Who knows? You know, every success story had a bunch of failures leading up to it. You know, so just because you failed at something doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means something didn't work out, man. You just didn't know something. You didn't know a key piece of the chunk. You know, you saw a landscape, you thought you could capitalize off of it, but there was it looked simple, it looked all good, but there was like a couple little rules that no one told you about, you didn't know about, and those are the ones that, you know, because like you go sit at the roulette table and go sit and watch the red and black, you know, you can sit there all night and make money. You can make money all night long, but it's the best, I mean, for you, it's the best odds on that table that you're going to win. And there's patterns. You can watch it. There's patterns. But the point is that there's also double zero, green, you know, and you can lose. So, I mean, there's always that one piece that if you don't know about it, you don't think about it. If you sat there winning off red and black your whole life, and the double green zeros never hit the thing, you wouldn't know what would happen. Then on one day you got all your money stacked up there, you're making a plan, you've got this whole idea what you're gonna have because you've multiplied it all out on your odds, and all of a sudden, ba-boom, you know, double zero. You lost it all. Now what? So it's like who you are when you have it all, and who you are after you lost it all. You know, that needs to be in harmony, you know. At least for me, that's where I'm trying to, you know, I've had it great, I've had it a lot, I've had everything I could ever want, I've had nothing, you know, and I've tried to be the same person in both situations. I try to be generous even when I don't have anything, you know, in some other way, you know. If it can't be a monetary way, it might be in a way where, you know, I make a point of seeing somebody's in a weird or down space that I throw them a good word. You know, I do my bit that way. You know, if I can't do anything from a monetary perspective, I try to do it from a emotional perspective, or just from a good-natured perspective. You know, I try to do the best I can. I try to resonate that, and I hope that, you know, that's what comes back. You know, it doesn't always come back that way, but that's okay. You know, I'm not doing it with the end result in mind. It's the doing, it's the action of caring for somebody other than myself that matters. It's not a matter of if anybody recognizes it, or if I say something about it, or I tell somebody that I did it. None of that is where the juice comes from. In the doing and the helping of somebody else that you see needs that help. My name's Jimmy. It's in the microcosm. It's Monday. We're getting started for the week. And probably going to get into trouble because I don't have a master plan tonight. I was going to have somebody come on, but at the last minute they couldn't make it. So, you know, it's not that I'd be at a shortage of any, you know, I never would be at a shortage of words or stuff to say. But in trying to keep with this, let's go back to Earl, the Pearl Nightingale, and let's do a couple more minutes of this fantastic, uplifting discussion that was had. I would say early 60s.
People are laid off. It has nothing to do with management and labor relations or personnel. Everybody works. Well, that would be a good reason to quit. In fact, here's a little rule of thumb you might want to remember. Whatever the great majority is doing under any given circumstance, if you do exactly the opposite, you'll probably never make another mistake as long as you live. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. The problem with most people is that they're playing the world's most unrewarding game. And the name of the game is follow the follower. There's a story about a small town in which there was a jewelry store, and like all jewelry stores, or most jewelry stores at least, he had a big clock in his window. And every morning for years, he'd noticed a working man stop, adjust his pocket watch to the same time as the clock in the window. He'd been doing this for many years, and one morning the jeweler was out in front sweeping a sidewalk, and so he asked the man, he said, "Tell me, why do you adjust your watch to my big clock every morning? I've noticed you're doing that for years." The man said, "Well, I'm the foreman down at the big plant." He said, "I want to make sure my watch is correct because I blow the quitting whistle every night at 5 o'clock. And the jeweler looked at him rather strangely for a minute, and he said, well, that's funny." He said, "I've been setting that big clock in the window by that quitting whistle all these years." A very logical thing, but they could have been off 6 months. It was a case of a person just going along with what he thought to be correct without checking his references. So I want to suggest that from now on out, at least we do that we check our references and ask ourselves, are the people I'm following going where I want to go? Try to find some way every day in which your work can be improved. And above all, know your boss. He's the customer. Treat him with the respect, care, and courtesy and humor he deserves. Remember that he pays all of your bills every month. He will buy everything you will ever own. He may be, of course, crude, coarse, ignorant, selfish, conniving, and a thoroughgoing savage.
Ever get the sense that we're living in a chaotic society which seems to be going in every direction at once, led by politicians who seem to pride themselves on their lack of long-term vision? There is a place in this world where people do have vision, and where they are overflowing with ideas for shaping our society far more efficiently and virtually. Who wouldn't want to live there?
Technology is the vehicle for how we should be looking to escape and move beyond politics as we find it today.
A society directed by technology, where terrorism, red tape, and banks are things of the past. That place is Silicon Valley. Populated by the programmers, entrepreneurs, and venture capitalists who shape our digital future.
Sure, you've all heard the old wives' tale that no hypnotized subject may be forced to do that which is repellent to his moral nature, whatever that may be. Nonsense, of course. Oh, you note-takers might set down a reminder to consult Brenman's paper, Experiments in the Hypnotic Production of Antisocial and Self-Injurious Behavior.
In a cybernetic structure, if you have a computer measuring people and then providing feedback based on that measurement, you are no longer offering them persuasive communication. You are putting, it's like a rat in a Skinner box. You're modifying their behavior and you're addicting them.
So you're no longer providing a service. You're modifying behavior. My name's Jimmy, and we're not modifying behavior. We are Revolution Radio, and you're knee deep in it on a Monday. Sorry for the little interlude there. I had some issues going on from a technical perspective on my end. So, yeah, Cybertopia. Once again, my friend, Cybertopia till the end. You know, do you think the future has anything to offer? I mean, people seem to be so emotionally tired, so out of shape. How did we go from a social engineering program of Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger being the male dominant alpha male figure in a movie to where everybody's running out, joining gyms, but never going to the gym, but going down and joining it anyway. I mean, at least there was some sort of an idea that, but now it just seems like rather than hold up some sort of goal-orientated attainment as the role model that people try to aspire to, the role models seem like they've gotten slowly degraded, and rather than show a certain aspect of society in a positive way, they just put it in a sea of mediocrity where everybody's just all mediocre in the same way across the board. There's nothing special about anybody. There's no reason for a trophy unless you're going to give one to everybody who participates, regardless of whether or not they won the race, kind of thing. So, I mean, at the point that there's nothing to aspire to, and there's nothing to look forward to, you're just this like we've become these gelatinous masses, connected psychically and interconnected electronically through the internet and the internet space. And the dominant force across the planet at this point is the internet, without a doubt, hands down. Excuse me for 1 second here. Sorry, caught some kind of funk from all this smoke from the fires up here in California. Stand by a second. Anyway, anyhow, sorry about that, but I had to hit the cough button there. I was a little too intense, no way to avoid it. But no, the smoke did have its effect, out here in California. Even though there were no fires directly anywhere near me, the smoke was still floating around. And who knows, who knows what's in that smoke, what's burning, actually. Anyways, my name's Jimmy, and when I see smoke, I smell fire. And I smell something burning over there, just up across the bay from here. I can still smell it. So the weather has been today. The reason I was kind of thinking it was kind of like an old school day today. The sun was out. Seemed like it was almost yellow because of this sort of haze that's hanging out. So the sun wasn't as white. And when I had a chance to get in it, it felt super good, man, to get out in the sun and feel that vitamin D hitting your skin. Back in the day, man, think how life used to be so simple, man. Seriously. And that's, obviously, could it be that the reason when life was so simple is because we didn't have all these different ways to distract ourselves with different information from all around the world? Mostly what we were concerned about was like basically right there in our own neighborhood. you know, what's going on with Bob down the street, you know, or if you, like, say you live rural, you know what's going on with the farm up the road, that kind of thing. But we're concerned about what's going on in all these countries over across all these ways, you know. And that's what was real interesting, you know, the interesting discussion about the immigration argument. The interesting part that I thought about it was the fact that what they brought up was that these people that are pro the people in government that are, you know, trying to thwart whatever President Trump's doing, those people are not fighting for their own constituents in their own districts that are homeless veterans, you know, that went and fought for the country, and they're fighting for the rights of people that, you know, like that. And I thought that was pretty intense. I'm 100% pro immigration though. So I mean, it's not, I'm not against immigration, but I just think it should be high tech immigration, and I just think they should just roll out a program. And I mean, it's pretty simple to have it all work. You know, as far as trying to, you know, as far as resistance is futile or whatever, it's not. You know, that's what we were talking about this yesterday in the chat over at freedomslips.com. Join us in the chat over there. But we were kind of chatting this up yesterday about, you know, the thought that freedom is slavery, is that you become a slave to trying to stay free in this environment. Because as much as you want to think that there's something you can do to not be in the system, or there's some way by you not giving over your information in one of these, you know, places where you're supposed to, or they want you to, the only person that gets hurt in that situation is you, because you're not actually getting the benefit of whatever it is that actual system has to offer, and it's offering it to you in exchange for you, you know, giving over your information or whatever. And so lots of people don't like that. So lots of people won't put their real picture of themselves on the internet. They don't, you know, they think somehow that they're going to hide out or whatever. But that's what the freedom, you know, is slavery, right? Is what it means, because it takes so much effort for you to try to resist the electronic beast governing and sitting over the top of humanity. Is a full-time job. So it's way easier for you to acquiesce to it, give your information over to it, and then just live within that slavery of that system. And that's what that whole situation, or that phrase, kind of means, in that idea of what it might have been like in the future. The telescreens, you know, the make sure that you got the right look on your face when the good leader says what he says at the appropriate hour, and you better make sure that you're at attention at that screen. If you want to get your universal income check, you have to listen to the good leader in the morning, give his speech, or send out his tweet, or her tweet, however the case may be. Seems to be some activity going on out here around my studio door. Don't know what it is, but I'll find out in a few minutes, since we got a few minutes before the break ski. And now, speaking of the break, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, jump on over freedomslips.com, because we're fully self-supported. As far as we're concerned, we are doing the self-supporting as throwing down with the effort, and you guys are supporting us with your good vibes and your monetary contributions that you can make over at freedomslips.com. And like I said, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. And you can also gain access to the archives, which is, you know, I forget. I think Ahmad was saying something about thousands of files. So, I mean, the amount of shows and guests and information that you have access to once you get access to the archives is, you know, untold riches inside the dusty vault over there. So go on over to freedomslips.com, like I said, and jump on in the mix and go on into the Chatskis. Let me go over there and see what's going on. It's been a while since I was over there. I've been over here busy. So let's see what we got going on. We got Hey Sam Squatches in there, Plastic Ono, Crab Cake, Hey Crab Cake, B5's in, Saul Rosenberg, Popsicle Toes, what's going on? 123 Monkey, Music Lover, Yo, what's happening? CH, Hey Lady Horse, HVB, Promedics, May Street, SJ, Grog. Hello. Nice to see you all, and welcome. Apparently you've gotten small enough to get into the door of Into the Microcosm, and that means that you are definitely inside the chat room. But hey, so when we get back, I got a couple of cool things to get into, and we got about, I don't know, say about 10 minutes before the break. I think there's a soccer game going on outside in the front yard. Like I said, it's like a summer day here today, reminiscent of a lot of days gone by. You know, those days, those simple times when people just didn't have an agenda. Everybody was just kind of doing their thing. You know, now there seems to be this undercurrent. You know, this undercurrent of events directing people's actions and emotions toward the outer world. You know, and there's a lot of turmoil and there's a lot of unrest, you know, and it seems like it's just a never-ending assault day in, day out. Like 3/11, 11/3 is gone, but 9/11/9 is coming up. 11/9 is coming up. 11/9 is coming up. 9/11, 11/9. Trump moved out of New York. Now there's a big thing. What's going on? Okay. So see, the day goes by. Now we got what, 6 days? Another 6 days. We can start to sweat, man. We can start buying storable foods. We can start getting ready for the Armageddon. You know, and hopefully, let's just say, hopefully it doesn't happen, you know, especially, I mean, New York City. I mean, gee, leave them alone already. You know, I don't know, but I thought it was, obviously strange that Donald decided to all of a sudden move out of New York City. Yeah, mine's Jimmy. It ain't New York City. It's Santa Cruz, California. NorCal, as it was. You know, Santa Cruz was a cool town back in the 70s, believe me. This place was cool. It's out of control, though. I mean, every single place that at one point was cool is now mobbed by everybody that wants to, like, absorb the cool. But the cool was gone a long time ago. Vibe's gone. Nothing left but the husk. And then all the seekers of the vibe. But the vibe's long gone. You know, like I said, we've digressed and back into this, like, it's the dark ages, like the morass of mediocrity. You know, where's the bright lights of the future? Who has the vision? You know, where's the visionaries? And if there was a visionary, would we even get to even hear about him? You know, isn't that the big fear? If you're the visionary, if you're a visionary and you got something to say, or you're a leader, they're gonna shoot you or whatever. So that's the big fear everybody has. You know, they won't step up to the plate. They won't be that bright, shining light. What happened? Why has everybody become, hey, I don't want to stick my head up because that's the one that gets chopped off? You know, just keep your head down. Keep eating that cheese. You know, keep eating the grass. Put your head down like a good piece of chattel. Keep your head down low. You know, keep your mouth shut. Don't say nothing. Don't stick your head up. Because let me tell you something. The shepherd's sitting over there, and the first sheep that puts his head up, looking away from that from the grass is going to be the one. Has to come down, and there'll be a reckoning. There'll be a reckoning, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, the moment of truth always comes for everyone, no matter who. You know. Sometimes it's fatal. I mean, sometimes the moment of truth means death, man. Sometimes the moment of truth means triumph. Sometimes you only get a chance to make a mistake. Sometimes one time, So other times you get to recover from a mistake, like we were saying earlier about being on that path. Sometimes make a decision, early on in life when we don't have the tools maybe to go in a certain direction, but we do it anyways because we got a pair, or we feel like we're strong and we can make it, and we didn't make it, but we kept going, and that's the important thing. The important thing is that you kept going. It doesn't matter if you didn't do it or you didn't make it. The point is that you kept going. You dust yourself off and keep going, man. Because it's not necessarily being the successful operation that you tried to put together a business and it didn't work, but it's everything you learned along the way, all the people you met, all the friends you made, all the things you learned. Because at some point in some moment in your life, those things that when you failed at something, but the lessons that you learned there are going to be the keys to saving your life in another moment. And those are the moments that have to matter and pay attention. That's why being here, being now makes such a big difference, because, this moment's never going to happen again just like this, with all of you just listening in this moment right now, all you people here over here in the chat room, everybody rolling out there in their cars on TuneIn and listening in on their on iTunes. You know what I mean? This moment will never happen again just like this, and that's the thing that's important. That's why it's so important for me to be conscious of myself in a moment. So that's what being conscious is to me. That's consciousness, expanding my consciousness to realize who I am in the moment, and trying to stay true to myself no matter what circumstances around me. That myself and the person that I am and my integrity matters more than the circumstances of the situation that I'm in. I have to rise above those situations and circumstances. I still have to be a generous person when I don't have anything to give, because in that moment is the moment that matters most. Those are the golden moments. My name's Jimmy. It's in the Microcosm Revolution Radio. Going to be back in a few minutes after this break. See you then. All right, I'm going to take a break. Be right back.